Whip it out. Good Lord, I could listen to that song over and over and over again. Welcome to the Pucknologists, episode 131 here on Tealtown, USA. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday, and hey, do us a favor. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on social media if you listen to the podcast on something like Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, whatever. We'd love a subscribe and a review on there if you could. And all the links to those things and more can be found in the description below. I am AJ_Strong on that social media. And joining me, of course, Rocket Backhander.
Hey, have we been mathematically eliminated yet?
It's almost there.
Okay.
Almost. Hockey Jerk, what's up?
Oh, I just sneezed, so all of the bad vibes have exited my body now.
Well, sure. I mean, if that's the way you want to roll.
Hey, you know what? As every mid-20s Tinder profile says, good vibes only.
Oh, Christ. Okay. Yikes. All right.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
And that's it, everybody. Thanks for joining. Look, if you'd like to support the show, you can use that super chat option during the live shows, or better yet, toss a little something in the Venmo tip jar. You can find us at Tealtown, USA, and we thank you for your support. And this time around, I'm going to talk about the Sharks Foundation selling giveaways. The NHL finds a new TV partner, and is it time up for Doug Wilson? But first, let's get into the Sharks games this week. A week for the Sharks where they played 4 games and took 4 of 8 points. Somehow still 6th in the West, because that's how bad LA and Anaheim are. After 51 games played, currently 8 points out of a playoff spot with 5 left to play. First one, boom, Arizona, 6-4 win. Coyotes came into this series with 2 wins out of their previous 7. Kozanash gets the start. LeBanc and Donato were out with injuries. VL and Barabanov. Am I pronouncing that right, Jerk? Barabanov?
Barabanov.
So, yeah, I'm like Barabanov, I don't know. It's very odd. But, hey, fans in the stands for the first time this season. Yay. You love to see it. And Noah Gregor scores 19 seconds in. Boom. Other Sharks goals coming from Burns, Couture, Carlson, Barabanov. I'm going to mess up that name all night. And Evander Kane with an empty netter, as you can see with the scroll. So, I mean, Jerkman, 19 seconds in. You love to see it.
Yeah, you really do. This team notoriously can't seem to get the ball rolling when they're supposed to. So awesome, obviously, to see them get that goal early, especially in the Heritage jerseys. Who doesn't love those jerseys? But also,
chef's kiss.
Nice to see. I mean, as you said, 19 seconds in, and you've got Noah Gregor getting the first goal of the game. Like, hey, this is a guy, a call-up guy, not a regular Joe, if you will, who's starting the game, and he scored. Like, if you want to take a positive out of it, that's it, you know?
Yeah, and positives have been kind of hard, far and few between to find this season. Rocket, I don't know if you were watching what happened with Chikrin. That kid had a hell of a night. I mean, he gets 2 goals, but he also got absolutely destroyed by Erik Karlsson during a shooting gallery. Chief had to limp it off.
Didn't quite catch that, but I just feel bad for the Coyotes. I think I was like one of those things where it's like, hooray, we won, but I was feeling kind of sorry for the other team because they just were not having a good night.
Screw those coats. Kane gets the first star with a goal and 3 assists. Again, Barabanov gets the 3rd star with his first NHL goal, and particularly of note, over 17 minutes of ice time. More than Timo Meier, more than Rudy Balcers. Just saying. But what does it say that this team during the game was up 4-0? It came close to blowing a 4-goal lead. What the?
It doesn't surprise me with this team. Like, there is literally no defense.
I can't.
Yeah, more often than not, it's been a mad scramble, to say the least. It's sort of like just I don't even really know how to explain it. You know, in Barabanov, he gets what would end up being the game-winning goal. He gets a high-value goal there, and from that point on, it just seemed to me like it was, okay, we got a couple power plays. Let's see what's going on here. And it's just, even though the Sharks are on the power play and they've got the goalie pulled, Arizona does, that is, it just never really seemed locked up. You know what I mean? The Coyotes obviously pressed. They ended up getting a late one to bring it close. So it was just, I think if you're not a fan of either of these teams, I think it was a really good game. But if you're a Sharks fan, to Rocket's point, you're just looking and you're like, oh my God, like, seal the deal here.
Dude, I thought they were going to piss it away. I really did. I'm like, when it was like 4-3, I'm like, oh, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go. And
then everybody's new favorite player scored the game winner.
True. You know what? I am a terrible host. I am a terrible host. All this talk, and we haven't even turned on Jerk's camera. Let's see. Oh, my man. All right. We likey. My man. So the fun part of this, of course, is that Barabanov is kind of thrust into the spotlight, and what happens is Knizhov has to do a little bit of translating because Alexander, not too good with the English language so far, but somehow he understood when asked, "How are things going? Are you digging California?" And all of a sudden we heard Borat.
We enjoy with my wife.
We enjoy with my wife. It was a good day for Borat this week. We'll get into that a little bit later. The one that really got me, though, following the game, Kozanash gets it was first NHL win, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. They talked to him afterwards, and I actually asked Kozanash, dude, you get that win. Is it because maybe you're more comfortable at SAP because you've played so many games with the Barracuda? His answer was solid. I was wondering, just you've had the games on the road, but are you more comfortable at SAP Center having played so many games with the Barracuda?
Maybe because of the fans. There were the same amount of fans today, like Barracuda, but I don't really know. It probably doesn't matter, but like overall from my career so far, I don't even know. I like more better play like when we are playing away than home.
So I thought it was kind of interesting that he said I like playing away more than home, but I just love the fact that it's like, well, yeah, since there are only 500 fans in the building, yeah, it felt like a Barracuda game.
Dude, there was a very brief moment after you finished the question where he kind of paused and he looked over to the left. I seriously thought he was just going to get up and leave.
Oh, man. Dude, that would have been choice. So they pick up a 6-4 win. Game 2, this time Kozanash gets his a second consecutive start. Hey now, Donato and Gambrell go out after being injured. If memory serves, I think Donato had a little something going on in that first game, and Gambrell took a shot during practice, so he was out. The lines were super duper interesting. Of note, Timo Meier being shown the entrance to the fourth line, saying, "Enjoy it, sir." Meanwhile, Barabanov, top line, Balsers on the top line, John Leonard, up with Couture. Dude, LeBanc on the third, Meier on the fourth. Think a message is being sent? I think so. But what happens? Kane opens scoring 72 seconds in. Lazy bastards. It was 19 the game before. What the hell, right?
Let's just talk about that pass from Barabanov. Forget the goal. Dude, that pass was disgusting.
Oh.
As you would say, it was choice.
Choice. I will say that. You talk about choice. Balsers with a sweet backhander 9 minutes later. And at that point, I'm going, okay, Kemper's getting pulled again.
Okay, you bring that up, and there was kind of an observation that I made here. So I'm watching, and the play starts out as it was a 2-on-1 with Balcers and Leonard break into the net. And I'm kind of looking, and it's clear that Balcers is waiting for Leonard to match his pace. And that didn't happen. Leonard didn't catch up. And so Balcers was like, all right, watch this. Goes around the defenseman and scores. I thought that was funny where I thought it was funny. He was like, all right, you don't want to come with me? I'll just do it by myself.
Okay. Don't say I didn't wait for you.
Exactly.
I had my guy. LeBanc 4 minutes later would score, finally, saying, hey, I can still do something once in a while. And again, the Yotes make it interesting. They get 2 back. Now, the fun thing for me, of course, is that Hetty spent the vast majority of this game calling out that the refs were missing calls left and right. You typically don't hear that much from a colored person.
Well, yeah, because as we've talked about all year, the operating position of the broadcast is pro Sharks all the time. They never do anything wrong. They're the perfect everything. It's the same. I tweeted about it and I mentioned it on the podcast a couple weeks as well, where Hedekin's vendetta against Kirill Kaprizov for being a diver, which I did not understand at all. And then there was another moment where Hetty is saying, oh, we're going to see the replay here, but I don't like this penalty. I think the referees probably could have let this one go. And I'm watching and I'm like, dude, that was egregious. I don't know what game you're watching. Like, just the way that it's devolved into
that's his MO.
It seems to me like the broadcasters are like the super fans now.
Yeah.
Like I'm waiting for Laura Britt and Curtis Brown to wear jerseys during the pregame and have foam fingers.
Oh my gosh.
Go, dude, can we get a GoFundMe started for that? Oh,
Curtis to do the chomp.
Really quick, I want to say as well. So you mentioned Kevin LeBanc getting the Sharks up 3-0. Mm-hmm. At the time, you're thinking, who cares about this goal? But that ended up being the game-winning goal, which is another high-value goal for Kevin LeBanc. 8 of his 11 are high value. So I'm wondering what the haters have to say. Let me know.
What do you got there? Numbers? Hey, speaking of numbers in this one, poor Logan Couture. This guy lost teeth yet again. Talked about it during the postgame.
Did you lose a tooth?
Yeah, 2 again.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, I almost made it through the whole season, man. This is 7 games left, almost.
All right, thanks.
With your teeth, actually, was that from that play with Demers?
It was, yeah. He told me that he's missing 2, so he wanted to make it even.
So, 2 things here.
Did you notice
that
that Couture was faster after losing the teeth? Is that a wind resistance thing? No.
Well, I just think it's really interesting, and it goes to show you how important winning is, because I think that's the most chipper I've seen Couture all year.
Legit. You are not incorrect. Yeah.
So it goes to show you how winning and losing can feel, especially when you have to do a Zoom call 5 minutes after the game ends. But also, if I didn't know any better, I would say that the 2 teeth he lost are 2 of the fake ones.
Yes.
I was gonna say I don't think anything in the front half of his grill are real anymore. Haven't been for some time.
Well, dude, we're also talking about a player. Was it last season before? Chief took a slapper right to the boys. And I remember they talked about it afterwards, and it's like, are they both still there? And he's like, yeah, luckily, yes. Poor son of a bitch. Anyway, so look, you got to feel good. Arizona's in front of the Sharks. They sweep them. You're going, okay, all right. Stop telling me there's a chance. We've got hope. So then what happens? Colorado. Yikes. Boys fly to Denver. Colorado comes into this riding a 3-game losing streak, and nothing will put a losing streak to bed faster than playing the Sharks. Right? Just saying. Because Colorado had won 8 of their previous 9. in the 3 losses, gave up 14 goals. Since arriving in Colorado, Dubnyk has an .885 average over his 4 starts. But who do we see? Grubauer returning from COVID protocol, and he throws a shutout. The Sharks lose 3-0. Now, in the good news, bad news department, Donato would return from being injured, but Blichfeld would go out after being injured in the previous game. Ivan Chekovic would make his debut. Didn't see a whole lot of him. And actually, I made a boo-boo because we didn't call out that Brinson Pasichnuk made his debut previously, but Jarosz would replace him in this game. Gambrell remains out, but Jones returns, and how'd that work out? Not well. and actually, they got the loss, but Jones had good numbers. He stopped 33 of 35. He posted a .943. What more can you ask of him? It's like when you lose 3-0, it ain't the goalie's fault.
I just think if there was any question as to whether Colorado was actually a good team, this game answered it. Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, the game was...
I thought they're a good. They're a good team. Yes, absolutely. They have more depth. But dude, 0 for 4 on the power play yet again, and they allowed 2 power play goals. Like this is a game of special teams.
Well, but that's the thing is, Colorado made the most of all their opportunities. I mean, the game was over in the first period.
Yeah.
And the Sharks, to their credit, they did put up a bit of a fight, but I don't think it was really all that inspiring, to be honest.
And dude, 2 for 44 on the power play in the month of April. Oh, and over that same time, they also scored 2 shorties.
Well, yeah, and it was even in that losing streak, it was 0 for 28?
You right.
God.
Like, even the shittiest teams find a way to get one.
All right. Second game, 4-3 loss. Goals coming from, hey, look, Barabanov again. Couture with a shorty. And Hurdle was, I want to say it was an empty netter. Is that right?
No, Hurdle's empty netter was the game against Arizona.
Oh, okay. What am I thinking of?
Hurdle did have a goal in this game.
Yeah, he had a. Okay, no, you know what, dude? All these games, they all just go together.
Well, that's the thing, dude. You have 4 games in like
5 days.
5 days. You know what I mean? I mean, it's unprecedented schedule wise. I mean, there's a game tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
The Sharks opened the scoring in the second period, finally getting a power play. I guess it's probably because the calendar switched over to the month of May. McKinnon would tie it during a 4-on-4 that started with Burns getting called for what some were calling a phantom trip. And then Hurdle complaining that he wasn't set during the puck drop. You got Ferraro losing McKinnon. Boom. That was pretty much over. Burakovsky gives Colorado the lead, and we're off to the races. The story on this one, of course, though, is the second period. The shots on goal for the Sharks, 4. It was 19-4.
4?
And through the second period, Colorado had won 27 of 40 faceoffs.
Jesus.
Yeah. So to quickly wrap this up, Couture makes it 3-2 with the shorty, cleaned up Kane's garbage. But Rantanen, when you thought there was hope, Rantanen pissed that fire out, made it 4-2. The Sharks pulled Kozanash, and a burn shot goes off Hurdle to make it 4-3 with 2:13 left. But I will say, and I had this written down because I couldn't believe it, and this is not me piling on. Go look at the last 2 minutes of that. EK65 looked like the most disengaged player on the ice. Man, did he look bad at the end of that. And like, it may have been the fact that, well, he was totally gassed. Well, then he shouldn't be out there. That's a coaching problem. But
I don't disagree with what you said, but I think it's also worth noting that in a couple of these games over this last week, there were a couple instances where it's and I hate to even do this, but the broadcast, Hedekin, calling out Erik Karlsson, and I mean rightfully so. There were things that Erik Karlsson deserved to be called out for, but as I'm watching the game unfold, I'm kind of like, okay, so the same thing that Vlasic just did. Like that gets a pass in your book. Like I'm all for assigning blame when it needs to be assigned, but I feel like the broadcast has devolved to the point of, assigning blame or praise, depending on which way you slice it, to fill airtime.
Yeah. I have a question about Erik
whip it
Karlsson. Like, how is it that he's had other coaches who are able to properly utilize his talent, and yet here in San Jose, we seem to have a very difficult time finding coaching that can utilize his skills properly? Why
Well,
is that?
I think, if I may, I think this is what it boils down to. Is so when he was on Ottawa,
Mhm.
there were years where he was the only person making things happen. And so the coaching staff adjusted and said, get the puck to Carl and get open. And it was great. It worked out well for them. And then you fast forward to San Jose, and as we know, I know Rocket is really big into coaching strategies. That's not really how San Jose operates. It's more structured. It's more everybody gets a touch of the puck, and we'll do this and we'll do that.
Yeah.
And that just, Karlsson, even Burns to a lesser extent, that doesn't really suit their game very well. And then to counteract that, the first year that Karlsson was on the team, the roster was pretty good. So everybody's touching the puck, but good things are happening because everybody is good. And now you fast forward to a little bit last season and really this season, whether they're just not good enough to keep up or they're having a bad year or whatever. But how many times have you seen Erik Karlsson make an A-plus pass and the person it's going to doesn't catch it? Yep. And so because of their mistake, now Erik Karlsson is out of position.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But you also don't need to put smoke on every single pass.
You do when you're down by one in the third period.
Well, yes, but there's been plenty of times where it's like, dude, dial it back.
Sure.
It doesn't need to be 1,000%. You can dial it back a little bit. But let's hit the chat before we move on here. A couple things that caught my eye. Chris, our buddy, God, we miss you. You should jump on sometime, buddy. So I'm not saying Sharks media is propaganda, but I feel we're a year away from calling the Athletic fake news and Kerr's Little Rocket Slapshot Man.
Oh, wow.
I like that one. That was a good one. From Dope. So tired of hearing about EK65. Can't wait for this season to be over. Yeah, I'm tired of talking about him. Again, remember like a month or so ago where like he was out for like 4 games because he hurt one of his many groins and came back and dude was like just killing it for 3 or 4 games? Where'd that guy go?
Well, it's see, this is the issue. Is you're only going to get one side of the coin looked at, right? You AJ and a bunch of other people have rightfully pointed out that he's been out of position at times, not a lot of hustle when trying to get the puck or trying to keep the puck in. Like those are all true things that do happen. But I think that the argument that I was making, where you're saying Karlsson is being put into compromising positions because his teammates are not at his level, I think that also deserves some credence as well.
Yes.
So, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's totally absolved of guilt, but
he's not 100% guilty.
That's what I'm saying is there's other blame to go around. And I think when, and we said with Couture just a few minutes ago, when you win, everything's great. And when you lose, it's really easy to be grumpy and really easy to get into bad habits when you're losing. You say, nothing I can do is going to change the outcome anyway, so why do anything?
You're right. So, look, the Blues got a point last night, so the Sharks' magic number, or tragic number, if you will, falls down to 2. In other words, another loss or a Blues win, they're officially mathematically eliminated. So, yeah, Sharks, all you need to do is just run the table. Shouldn't be that difficult, right?
Cup is yours.
I thought this was going to be the year that Arizona finally unseated one of the big dogs. I mean, they're only They're only 3 points back of St. Louis, but St. Louis has 3 games in hand. So,
I guarantee you that the year that the Coyotes finally bust loose is going to be the same year that the Oilers just catch fire and go.
Yeah, you talk about a team who's been waiting for it.
I'm telling you, dude, when those two go off, it's going to be at the same time, and this division is finally going to be very interesting to watch.
You have to hand it to St. Louis, though. April was
really?
April was a gauntlet for them, and they got through it. So
yeah, they decided that they were done losing to shitty teams, and so they just started beating all the good teams.
No shit. So over the course of those 4 games this week, the Sharks took 3 goal leads, both Arizona games, up by 3 or more goals, and still had to battle back to win. They couldn't hold a lead versus Colorado in their second game. That's something that definitely needs to be looked at for next season. In the last 16 games, I said it earlier, the Sharks have 3 power play goals and 3 shorthanded goals. That's a big fucking yikes. The power play has dropped to 29th in the NHL, ahead of only Detroit and Anaheim. Might want to go look at where those 2 teams are in the standings. And did you know that through 51 games, the Sharks lost 10 of those by 1 goal? I bet a power play goal would have been nice in those. Now, half of these did go to overtime, so the Sharks did get a charity point, but you win those other 5, that's 10 points, and you're 4th in the division.
So what you're saying is that it's important to score on the power play.
Yes, that would be correct. That is what the drum has always been about.
Well, and I feel like the 3 of us have talked about it as long as we've been doing this podcast, where it's like, imagine how 1 power play goal would change the fortunes. Like 1.
Yep.
1. You know what I mean? And obviously, if the penalty kill or the goalie for the other team is dialed in, nothing you can really do, but just the talent that the Sharks boast on their power play, you'd think that they would be able to have more success.
Mm-hmm. The thing that really gets me, though, last week we talked about how Jones had been pulled in half the games he'd started since Dubnyk was traded on April 10th. Here we are on May 5th, and Jones still does not have a win. He's 0-5-1 with an 861. Can you say buyout?
Is that since Dubnyk left?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's.
I mean, at this point, like, the Sharks aren't making the playoffs. At this point, if Jones gets
whoa! You're trying to tell me there's no hope of playoffs this season?
No, there's not. I'm sorry.
I'm devastated.
There's nothing to play for now. Like, if Jones has a bad game and it's 5-0 in the first period, I say leave him in and let him think about it.
0 in the first period.
You sit in that net and you think about what you've done.
You think about what you did. Make him turn around and face the camera and then inside the net and just stand there and take it.
Dude, that's the whole thing. There's some games whether Jones is like facing the team or if he just put his back to the ice. Like, chances of saving the puck sometimes, probably 50-50.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's even if you don't do anything. I mean, what are the chances that if you just stand there? I mean, what is the percentage chance that the puck just hits you?
That's all I'm saying. So, look, April solidified the nightmare, right? There was an 8-game losing streak. There was 1 win in 10 games. On the month, they went 5-9-1. It was not good. And who did some of those losses come again? 3 versus Anaheim alone. Are you kidding me? Ugh, that's a kick in the balls. So, time for Jerk's favorite point of the show. After 51 games, the Sharks have a record 26-5, good for 45 points. Last season, at this point in their schedule, they were 22-25-4, good for 48 points. So after 51, current team down 3 points behind last season's record. There are now 5 games left. 2 versus Colorado, 2 versus Arizona, 1 versus Vegas. And so the question is, will they get 8 points over their next 5 games? They have to do a minimum of 3-0-2 in order to best what they were after 56 games last season, which was 52 points.
Honestly, I mean, 3-0-2, you get hot at the right time, maybe it happens. Honestly, maybe it happens. But chances are, no.
You heard who the opponents were that are coming up, right?
That's why I said chances are. And also, too, if we do some math here, the Sharks have 45 points in 51 games this season. And if you extrapolate that over 70 games, which is how long last season was for the Sharks, they would be at 62 points. Last season in 70 games, the Sharks had 63 points. They've bridged the gap to being better than last year.
It's going to come down to the wire, man. I'm telling you.
Dude, they're going to win all 5.
They're going to smoke everybody.
You know, there is a city in Nevada that will take that bet. I think you know where it is.
I might.
You might. Quickly from the chat, and I think this is a great point from LD Shark. Why is no one talking about the real problem, which is the Sharks will not win games if they can't win faceoffs?
Yep.
And
the
particularly, I'm sorry, Jerk, but particularly faceoffs that we talked about the goal module last time about rating value to goals. Yeah, I think we could even go a step further and use that on faceoffs. Like, how important is a faceoff in the offensive zone when you're on the power play, you know?
Very, I would say.
Dude, if memory serves, the game on Saturday versus Colorado, 2 of the Colorado's goals came within about 3 seconds of Colorado winning the faceoff.
Yeah, you know, and some faceoffs are not really important, as we've talked about, but there are others that are. And the Sharks, they've struggled with faceoffs since they got handled by the Penguins in the Stanley Cup Final 5 years ago. Like, faceoffs have always been a problem. And for some reason, I've yet to figure out why. For some reason, Tomas Hertl, the guy that nobody was sure would be a good center, is the only one who can win faceoffs.
You're right. You would have thought that Gambrell would have
let's go back a few years. People were saying Hertl can't be an NHL center.
Yeah,
and he's the best faceoff guy on the team.
Yeah, everybody had him put on the wing.
So you riddle me that.
Look, St. Louis has 7 left, 2 versus Anaheim, 2 versus Vegas, 2 versus Minnesota, 1 versus LA, 4 home, 3 on the road. Arizona has 4 left, 2 against LA, 2 versus San Jose, 2 home, 2 road. What we're saying here, kids, is it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Look, just like last week, this week the Sharks are going to play 2 versus Colorado, 2 versus Arizona. Now, look, the Sharks will finish the season with 5 straight at home, starting with, again, 2 more against Colorado, currently second in the division, 4 behind Vegas. So Colorado has something to play for, which is one of the things that I was worried about coming into this stretch. The Avalanche 7-3-0 over their last 10. Of course, 2 of those wins coming against San Jose. And their record versus San Jose this season, 5-1-0. And 3 of those wins were via shutout.
Well, and the thing is, too, is so you mentioned Colorado 7-3-0, Vegas 9-1-0, Minnesota 8-1-1. All 3 of those teams are buzzing. Yeah. You have to think that, you know, just because they've cinched up a playoff spot, you have to think that they are going to be fighting tooth and nail for that number 1 spot in the division, because I would certainly love my chances a lot more if I was playing the lowly St. Louis Blues.
Lowly? Last time I looked, they're in the playoff spot.
They are, but of the 4 that appear to be going to the playoffs, they are the clear outlier, if you will.
No. Following the 2 against Colorado, boom, it's the Desert Dogs again with another back-to-back. They're currently 5th in the division, 3 points behind St. Louis, but as Jerk mentioned earlier, St. Louis has 3 games in hand, so not looking good for Arizona, who will have only 3 wins in their last 10 games, but against San Jose this season do have a winning record, 3-2-1, and those 2 losses came last week. So
at this point, if Arizona beating the Sharks means that they overtake St. Louis and St. Louis misses the playoffs, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
He's just here to watch things burn, people.
That's what I'm saying.
He hates St. Louis. He hates
St. Louis sucks. But can we also mention these two games against Arizona? I believe they're on Friday and Saturday. Yes,
You're right. You're right.
The last time that Arizona will be a divisional opponent.
That's right. Yeah, and it's not just me, right? It felt like the Desert Dog mentions have been set to like 10 on the broadcast over the last couple matches.
Yes.
Like, man, are they just trying to crowbar them in whenever they can because they know that it's like, oh, only going to see him 2 times next season, but crowbar him in.
I'm excited for those 2 games. Those are going to be extra drunk games. I was going to say spicy, but that's okay.
As opposed to regular drunk. I like it.
Yeah.
So let's get into the trends. I mean, obviously, Barabanov had a week to remember, 4 points in 4 games. But look, we usually, for the most part, this season have done the who's hot, who's not. Now I think it's just time to play will they or won't they? Who's going to be on this team next season? Who's not?
What about who's hired, who's fired?
There you go. That too.
Who's...
Well, let me. You know what?
I don't know.
Before we,
who sachets away, who shantays and stays? Is that what we're doing?
Whoa, hey now.
Whoa. Let's start here. Not with the team, but let's go a little higher up.
Okay.
The league.
Yeah. Well, is it time for Doug? Is it time for Doug Wilson to go? He's put together a remarkable run of icing competitive teams during his first 10 seasons with the club. And then, he took that whole step back to take a step forward in 2015. And look what happened in 2016. That worked really well. But since then, in 2017, bounced in the first round in 6 versus Edmonton. Following season, they swept the Ducks, but then were embarrassed by Vegas in 6. Then in 2019, they had a remarkably lucky run. But another way to look at it is if, they were 10 minutes away from being bounced in the first round again. They were a miracle away from being bounced in the first round again. And then 20 and 21, they're missing the playoffs. So aside from that ridiculous luck of 2019, the Sharks they've won 1 playoff round since going to the final.
Okay, hold on.
Here we go.
You don't get to do that. You don't get to say, because of this miracle that should have never happened, they didn't deserve, or they can only be counted for 1 playoff win. I think that's bullshit.
No, I give you that, but as long as you give me that was a remarkable lucky run. There was the 5-minute
round was lucky.
The first round was lucky, but there was the 5-minute major. Of course, there was that could have been over in 6.
Sure.
Game
it could have been over in 5.
Yeah, but but you look at it, they give up that soft shorty in double OT in Game 6. That could have easily been won by Vegas earlier. And again, it goes back to my point where it's like, okay, then 1 playoff win since the final, and then what happened for the next round? Isn't that the whole Landeskog skate thing?
Yeah, but that's not some big controversy.
I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying that there are the other ones that are going to sit there and go, 5-minute major, Landeskog skate, Meier hand pass. Like, you guys were skating with rabbit's foots jammed up your ass that year.
Sure, but if you go, I'm looking at the season by season record for the Sharks here. And you know what I called the NHL office to confirm as well. It still says 1. It still says 1 second round versus Colorado, 1 first round versus Vegas. It still says that.
All right.
I'm just saying.
But 17, 18, not great. 19, decent. 20, 21, not good. So you had 1 run in the last 5 years. Is it time for Doug Wilson to go?
Well, I'll get there. Because you wound me up. But
clearly.
I think, okay, you mentioned the Meier hand pass. The Sharks lost that series anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
The Landeskog offside play. Let's say that didn't happen in that goal stance. It would have been 2-2. Who knows how that game goes? Maybe the Sharks end up winning anyway. Because Donskoy did score for the Sharks after that snafu happened. Exactly. Donskoy scored a goal after the offside play. The game was not over because of the offside play.
Man, he gets wound up.
The miracle against Vegas, yes, it was a miracle. Probably, it's 1 in a million, but it still happened. Like, if you look at the record book, it still says won first round 2019 versus Vegas. It still says that, And this is a case where you say they don't ask how, they ask how many.
Mm-hmm.
And since 2017, the Sharks have won 3 out of 6 playoff rounds. Now you're saying 0 Stanley Cups, but what I say is, it's not like they just won one series legitimately and then the other 2 they like tripped and fell into and won. Like, they won those legitimately as well.
Yeah, and Chris making a solid point, basically saying, well, how about all the other times that it went the other way when it comes to being edged out?
Mm-hmm. By that point, dude, the Sharks have won every series they've ever played then. And I will say, too, controversy, you say that 2019 was a Cinderella or a miracle run in general. I say, counterpoint, the 2019 team was better than the 2016 team.
Oof.
Because look at the stats on that piece of shit. If Martin Jones is okay, not even good, if he's okay, the Sharks go to the Cup final and probably win.
Oh, dear Lord.
If Martin Jones is okay, he doesn't even have to be good. He needs to be okay.
Can I ask you a question, Jerk?
Sure.
Can we get back to the original question?
Yeah, ask me.
Is it time for Doug Wilson to go?
I'm not sure.
I am unsure.
I want to know. My question is, all right, so what if it is time for him to go? Who are you looking at to replace him? Owen Nolan? Like, what other ex-Shark are you going to replace with Doug?
You know what? I could see, not specifically Owen Nolan, but I could see that route being taken just because, as we've talked about before, everybody who works for the organization, is a rah-rah cheerleader, and you say, oh, Sharks for life and his back. Like, I'm surprised. Like, Setaguchi, what's he up to? You know what I mean? Like, I could totally see that a path being taken. But I think there are good arguments that say, yes, he should be fired or reassigned or promoted, whatever word you want to use. But I think there are good arguments that he should stay where he's at.
All
so,
right.
I mean, it's a healthy debate.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, when I say that is it time for Wilson to go, I'm saying be, relieved of that position. You'll notice that I didn't say fired. You'll notice that I didn't say promoted. I'm not lobbying for one way or the other. I'm just saying to have his current responsibilities be removed. Maybe that's the easier way to put it.
And that's the thing, because the Sharks have obviously nosedived the last 2 years, but I don't really think Doug Wilson has done anything that has been fireable. Like, the only thing in my eyes, the only thing that he's guilty of is taking chances and taking risks to put a good team on the ice. He's not, I don't think he's been negligent. I don't think he's been careless. I don't think he's been stupid. Yeah. I just think he's a victim of some gambles that didn't go his way. And
Chris makes
bad draft choices.
Chris makes a nice point. In the modern NHL, GMs have massive staffs. More than him needing to go, it's the approach may need to change.
Right. And okay. I love, don't get me wrong, I love Doug Wilson Jr. Love him. But I don't think he should be promoted to GM only because he's only been the director of scouting for 4 years, and in that time he's dialed in the scouting department more than Tim Burke has ever done in 20 years.
Yeah, what does that say?
You know what I mean?
Chris also saying, look at Vegas and Seattle, both heavily invested in analytics and finding gems.
Sure. And that's the thing, and that's kind of going back to Doug Wilson Jr. There was that mindset is like, okay, our team is lacking a third-line center, so let's go draft a third-line center. And that's the wrong way to think about it. You can say, yes, our team is lacking a third-line center, but you should still look at your list and say, okay, who's the best player available. We'll take him, and if we have to, we'll trade him down the road for what we actually need.
No.
And so, like I said,
wait a minute. We had a third line center, Chris Tierney.
and so I think, the idea that Doug Wilson Jr. is just going to be promoted to GM, I think it would be a misstep because I think it would be a major subtraction from the amateur scouting department.
I agree wholeheartedly.
All right. Well, I feel like this is not something that, this is something we can talk about, I think probably up until the draft.
What's that?
Just whether Wilson should go. We're going to look and see what they do during the draft. There's there are some people that have made the point that maybe it's time for Bugner to go, even though he signed for 2 more years. Hold on.
No.
Let me just make the point. He signed for 2 more years, but didn't he not do that well in Florida, and yet somebody came and replaced him and has largely the same group and they're doing far better? Or is that not the case?
Counterpoint.
Huh? Okay, go ahead. Counterpoint.
Let's say, what if I gave you a car that didn't have brakes on it, and then you crashed into something? I don't think anybody could really be mad at you for crashing because the thing didn't have brakes on it.
But wouldn't they be mad at me for not checking that before taking the car?
Yeah,
maybe.
That's sort of a responsibility.
But my point being is I don't think it's fair to assign all the blame to Bugner.
Oh, not assigning all of it.
No, but what I'm saying is the people who think he needs to be fired are the people who are assigning all the blame.
Oh, okay, I get you.
It's like, Bob Bugner, he's not a good coach. Why hasn't he gotten 20 goals out of Joachim Blichfeld yet? And it's like, dude, nobody's going to. I love Joachim Blichfeld, but get it together.
My God, Rocket, is this like the most fired up you've heard Jerk in like the last month and a half? Dude, I poked the bear, man. I hit a nerve.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? It's like
dude, I'm the same way when I wound up. I'm just saying, man.
Well, nobody. This is the problem with specifically with Facebook and with Reddit is nobody wants to sit down and actually hypothesize and process anything and look at all the different possibilities. It's very reactionary and it's very simple-minded takes.
Hot takery bakery, baby. Put on your your oven mitts.
It's just the same thing. Erik Karlsson's -15. He must suck. And it's like, okay, we'll break it down. How many of those dashes were his fault? How many of those dashes were somebody else's fault? How many of those dashes was he on a line change and his foot was still on the ice? you know what I mean?
You know who's +20? We're going to talk about that later. Look, it's time to move on.
We need to go to commercial. I'm getting upset.
Exactly. We do. And
so our sponsor.
Yeah. So we're going to go to our sponsor, to the Sharks Foundation.
Oh God. Wait, okay, really quick before we get there, I just want to say one more thing for everybody to chew on. This the conclusion of this season will be the first time that the Sharks have missed the playoffs for the second year in a row since 1997.
Reverse retro.
And what's your point? What's your
vibes of that time?
Exactly. What's your point?
My point is that okay? So after that, playoffs in 5 straight years. Playoffs in 5 straight years. Then they missed one. Then playoffs in 9 straight years. Missed one. Then playoffs in 4 straight years. They missed last year. They're going to miss again this year. What I mean by that is missing the playoffs 2 years in a row. Pretty unfamiliar territory.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, and so what's the point?
My point is, I'm saying is that this is not your older brother San Jose Sharks. This is a different time.
All right.
Or maybe this is your older brother San Jose Sharks, and we just haven't seen them. They're cicadas. They just are reemerging.
Maybe.
Well, look,
like I said, it's something to chew on.
I'm never gonna move on to the next one.
No, you know what? We go long every week. I'm just making it my fault
longer.
This time.
Fair enough.
Oh, I see what you're doing there. F you.
I'm just saying. This is. It's really, and it could probably lead to a show on its own. This is the first time since the 6th year of the franchise that the Sharks have missed the playoffs in multiple years. It would be a really interesting debate.
You know what? It's been such a good session. Keep it up. Keep it up for about another 30 seconds to a minute, because Daddy needs to go make a bet on the horse.
Here we go.
Make a bet on the horse. I mean, like I said, you think, okay, so and this is actually a perfect thought experiment as well, because Rocket is a Sharks fan established 2014, so you're kind of jumped on the ship, so to speak, at the beginning of this era, you know what I mean? Where you miss the playoffs and then you come back and you've got 4 solid years. And then you miss the playoffs again. And even before that, the Sharks missed the playoffs in 2003, and then they banged it out and made the playoffs all the way until 2014. So it's almost like you're going to miss the playoffs 1 year, but then these pockets of playoff runs on either side of them. And so I just think it's an interesting thought experiment, and I think it goes well with what AJ's saying about, should we fire Doug Wilson? Should we fire the coach? The first time since year 6 of the franchise that they've missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, it makes you kind of question where things are going, because the Sharks, as I've said, 2003, 2014, 15, they missed the playoffs for 1 year and come back with a great run. Doesn't look like it's going to happen this time.
But what if next year they just light fire and they end up taking 3 cups in 5 years?
Then we're going to delete this episode of the podcast.
All right.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Oh, fuck.
You know what?
We have to move on, dude. We have to move on.
Yes, let's talk about what color polo Evander Kane was wearing to the game on Thursday.
Yes. It was a beautiful shade of purple, because everybody said, "What if it was purple?" No, look, the Sharks Foundation. Now, if you've listened to this show,
oh no,
dude, if you've listened to this show, you've heard us on Discord or whatever. Jerk and I, if you follow us on social media, we've been talking about this goddamn jersey now. for 15, 16, 17 months. I don't know. When was the arena giveaway schedule announced? I want to say October?
This was announced September of 2019.
Okay, then.
Sheesh.
And they've got those gorgeous warm-up jerseys, and luckily I was able to grab a Shark Freak one, and I did like the other ones. I thought they were kind of cool, but Jerk and I were totally laser focused in on that one from March 21st, the uprising. And, we were so down for it. And then what happened? COVID struck, boom, games wiped out. And then it took this last Monday for them finally to bring them back. And they went up for auction, as they're supposed to do. And I got to tell you, Jerk and I were a little pressed, shall we say. Probably me more so, but we were talking during the game, and we're sitting there going, "Oh man, okay, because we don't care whose name is on the back for the most part." Jerk really did. He's like, "Dude, I'm eyeballing that Barabanov, man, dude."
Yes, but before Monday night, I was the only one who'd ever heard of him.
True. But he's like, "Dude, I'm eyeballing the Barabanov, and if it gets to this point, I'm going to do this and whatnot." And so Jerk made his play, and he got priced out, which happens.
Yeah, whatever happens.
But yeah, it happens. But we continued to keep an eye on it, and we see it get to 725, and then it gets to 775, then 800, and then we see it get to 875. Now earlier, we had gone through and we saw a few jerseys, whether it was a Shellman, a Balsers, or whatever, had buy it now for 900.
Before you go any further, let me interject here.
Sure.
So it was at $500, no bids for the entire game, because I said nobody had heard of this guy.
Not the entire game, I don't think.
Most of the game. The bids didn't start coming in until he scored.
Yes, correct.
And so that gets you back to where we were, 600, 650, 700, 750. Go ahead.
And there was, typically the way that it works is there's a group of players. It's typically the lower level players people haven't heard of. It's going to be your Yarosh, your Melnichuk, your guys are just kind of who?
Handemark.
Yeah, Handemark, VL, or who was wearing number 2?
Greg Patterin.
Yeah, Patterin. It's going to be those guys. It's going to be buy it now 900. And then it's going to be a level beyond that where it's going to be your LeBancs and whatnot. And that's going to be buy it now, $1,200. And then your Marlows and Burns and Carlsons are going to like not even have buy it now because they know that they're going to go for a certain amount. The thing that gets me, this is the thing that Jerk and I, mostly me, were tilted about. At one point, Barabanov hits 875, and I'm going, dude, you're already spending 875. Throw in the extra quarter. Buy it now. And then I go and look. All of a sudden, the buy it now function, gone. Gone. And of course, Jerk is going, well, Chief just did score his first goal.
I didn't realize you could modify an auction like that, like an active auction.
Well, you're not supposed to.
Modify an active auction that's for charity.
Yeah. So either way, I'm not saying that
this is not an accusation. It's a thought piece.
Yes. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just saying that at one point there was a buy it now option and then there wasn't. And that just, put the hackles up a little bit. You're going to go, And then to make the hackles go up maybe a scotch more over the whole thing, you kind of go, geez, what kind of racket is going on here? You look here at these giveaways, again, at the top, the key word that we're looking at here, children, giveaways, right? Well, as part of this whole uprising thing, boom, there's a jersey sale announced. And you're going, wait, sale? I still have tickets for the game on March 21st, 2019. Like, I was supposed to get one, you're right, 2020. I was supposed to get one of these for free. What is this sale? Okay, well, what are we talking? 30, maybe $40. No, $150.
What?
$150 for a jersey that was going to be a giveaway. Again, I am all for charity. But, man, that is a bad look in my opinion. That really comes off like a money grab.
Yeah, I get it. Like, yeah, this is for charity. So this is for charity. So you can't say that what we're doing is bad. Yes, we can. Yes, actually we can.
Well, because I've always had the opinion, and I've mentioned this to AJ, so this is more for Rocket. I've always had the opinion that if you're doing an auction or a sale or whatever for charity, anything above $0 is a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's all gravy.
That's what I'm saying. It's house money essentially that you get to keep and put into the community or do whatever with. So it doesn't seem very fair to change the advertised price for something because the course of the game changed. It doesn't seem very fair to sell something at a kind of an outrageous price that was originally supposed to be free. And as a throwback, because I know AJ is still upset about it, it doesn't seem fair to cancel an event because it wasn't profitable enough for your charity.
Well, here's my thing.
This is not an accusation. It's just a thought piece.
It's just a think piece.
Here's the thing that gets me. You had this was a giveaway, right? This wasn't this wasn't one of those things where you were required to buy a special ticket. Like, I remember Rocket and I went to a game where it was ladies' night. You had to buy the special ticket in order to get the wine glasses, right? But this was something that it was coming in. Everybody through the door was getting one. And, let's call it out for a second. The Sharks aren't saying, okay, we need 17,592 of these. No. They're saying, give us 18,000, right? They have 18,000 of these.
Yeah, because the extras are usually given away to other people, say maybe some people who work for the team, people who are corporate sponsors, people who go to the Turnip and Teal events at the Togos at San Pedro Square.
Or some are given to the Sharks Foundation and they get some players to sign them and then they auction those specific ones.
Yes, and if it's signed, go for it.
Yeah. So my point is, I'm sure you guys have heard of the game Would You Rather, but would you rather, if you're the Sharks Foundation, would you rather sell 100 out of 18,000? Would you rather sell 100 of these for $150, or would you rather sell 1,000 of them for $30? You know what I mean? Like, I think if they had lowered the price point to something reasonable, you might have made a lot more money.
And
I
you would
just
go ahead.
go ahead.
Go ahead. You.
I think the entire approach that the foundation took with this was gauche. It's tacky.
Yes.
It's just classless.
It's not a good look.
No.
And thing is, like, if all of the money that's generated goes to the local community, then let us know.
Yeah.
Shut us up, But and again, not any accusations, just a thought piece. It's a weird look when you're sort of moving the goalposts when nobody's looking. Only difference here is AJ was looking.
Yeah.
Ew.
You got caught with your hand in the proverbial cookie jar, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was fun. Let's take it around the NHL, shall we? There's a couple.
Really quick, what do you play tennis with?
A racket? Uh-oh, here we go.
That's all I wanted to say. Let's move on.
So, Ryan Miller, goaltender Ryan Miller, earlier announced his retirement, ended up winning his final home game with Anaheim yesterday. The announcer, as the Kings are lining up to shake Ryan's hand, the announcer goes, "The Kings come out to congratulate him on a Hall of Fame career." We talked about Patty Marleau a lot in the last couple of weeks. If Miller is a Hall of Famer based on his resume, his body of work, how is there even a debate about Marleau getting in? Miller won a Vezina. He won one award. And some people will point at individual awards as
they should.
Yes, I give him that. But Marleau was nominated for like twice the amount of times that Miller was. Yeah, okay, Miller won it. He was badass one year. That's awesome. Does that guarantee you a shot into the Hall of Fame?
Well, also, how many appearances at the Olympics does Ryan Miller have? Does he also have any Stanley Cups?
He has no Stanley Cups.
Okay.
If memory serves, I think he was in the Olympics one year as a I don't know. I think he was shining off the guy's jocks for that time.
No,
but he was serviceable the other year.
No, let Jer talk.
No, he was he was the badass for 1 year when the U.S. won the silver.
But you can't say this but not this. You have to do the whole picture. And like we talked about with Marleau, it's not the NHL Hall.
Okay, but hold on. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of Ryan Miller's career. My point was, hold on. No, my point is,
did, though.
if Marleau, how is Marleau debatable if Miller is guaranteed in?
Right. Okay, that point I'll concede to you, but
that was the only point I was trying to say.
Okay, because I was going to say, if you're questioning whether or not Ryan Miller is Hall of Fame worthy,
no, I'm not.
Okay, then I'm saying in that case you would have to look at his career.
Yes.
Like the whole career.
Well,
exactly.
and Puck Guy points out something nice here too. Marleau versus Miller. Marleau has 2 gold medals. Miller has a silver.
Yes, that's exactly. The argument is not is Ryan Miller a Hall of Famer? The argument is, if Miller is, why isn't Marleau?
That's exactly the question I'm asking.
Okay.
So there you go.
See, we're back on track.
See, we're all friends.
We're back.
We don't have to yell. Do we want to rewind the tape about 20 minutes ago?
I wasn't yelling at you. I was just yelling.
Oh. All right. Why? Okay.
He's in the mood.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're both in moods. We had another announcement. Booyah. Next season marks the first time since 05-06 that NBC will not carry any NHL games. So Landy can shut the up about the doubleheaders, right?
Yeah, it's not just him. It's all of us.
It was. It was a group effort. But look, Turner Sports has secured the deal. Okay, it's great. The fact that Bleacher Report is involved in this is a little sus. But look,
I believe Bleacher Report is owned by Turner Sports.
So
that's probably it.
Does this mean anything?
The graphics and everything?
Oh yeah, of course. They always do
they'll
that.
change the music and the graphics.
Of course.
So Brody won't be doing any of the pregame stuff or anything.
This is all national. The
Okay.
regional, that won't change. It'll still be
Oh, okay.
Brody. It'll still be Curtis. It'll be all that. This is only the national broadcasting stuff. So now it's basically, what is it? Like every other year, ESPN will broadcast the Stanley Cup final. In the years that they don't, it'll be on a Turner network, probably TNT, TBS.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this, like ESPN, that's all Disney, right? And Disney also owns ABC. So it wouldn't surprise me if the years that ESPN have the Stanley Cup rights, they'll be broadcast on ABC. Makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that. But I think something that kind of is interesting that stems from all of this is it since the COVID started, there's been all this talk about the flat cap, and there's no money coming in. So the NHL, with their new TV deals, they wanted to bring in as close to $1 billion per year as they could. And so for these next 7 years, they're getting $420 million a year from Disney and $225 million a year from Turner. And so you're probably saying, well, wait a minute, that's only $645. Where's the other bit come from? Rogers, the Canadian national rights holder, their deal is still kicking around as well. So when you add the three together, $996 million US per year for the next 7 years. I don't know about you. It seems to me like that could maybe help juice the salary cap a little bit.
A scotch. A scotch.
Just a hair.
And you know what? It's really, I like the idea of splitting it up too. ESPN is going to get 4 Stanley Cup finals. Turner will get 3 Stanley Cup finals. All 7 years, they'll split the playoff games, which is fun. Turner is getting the Winter Classic, which is, big marquee event for the NHL, so it helps the network, it helps the league. I think it's
say
good
something?
to have everything spread out. Yeah, sure, go for it.
Here's the thing that I kind of like about this is that NBC Sports not necessarily available on every platform, especially because you have to, you typically buy tiers when you're, getting your satellite TV, your Comcast type stuff, whatever. And there are certain tiers. Like I know with my TV provider, you have to buy a certain tier in order for NHL Network to be involved, right? And I know that NBCS Sports is for some people on a specific tier. ESPN, TBS, and TNT is like available on the lowest tier of every package.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a good thing.
Yeah, even those 3 you mentioned, even ABC, also part of the basic cable package.
Who?
Versus, like you said, NBC Sports Network. I think that's on the 2nd or the 3rd tier cable package.
Yes.
So it's...
I made the little who joke because somebody who works for ABC right now may or may not be watching.
Really?
Yeah. So that's where we are with that. I look forward to seeing how that's going to roll. Look, we can make jokes about Outdoor Life Network for days. So, and then Versus and all of that. So, look, they're on networks that we've all heard of, which I think is a good thing. And again, on the lowest tier.
And another point to bring up as well, as Rizzo is pointing out, NBC is shutting NBCSN down.
Yeah.
So, there was, and when all these new TV deals came out, it's just, you see all this stuff, NBC, I see a couple of people, NBC was a really good partner for the NHL, and, it's a huge loss for them. Really? Because I don't feel like they did, like, the NHL is all about growing the game and getting eyeballs on the game. I don't think NBC did anything to help that cause.
Oh.
Like,
they
put like, NHL playoff games, your choice. Okay, well, we can
on
put
the
it on
golf
the stream
network.
We can put it on the golf channel, which not everybody has, or we can put it on the streaming service, which you need, a cable login to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not going to sacrifice NBA ratings.
Versus, and like you said, versus ESPN, ABC, TBS, TNT. These are basic cable channels. If you go to the gym at your local apartment complex, the TV has all 4 of those channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right. Probably time to move on. Let's talk about them kids.
Ooh, Barracuda.
So it was a decent week for the CUDA, who for some reason got a shit ton of presence on TV during the last two Sharks games.
That was so fun.
Yeah, that was a little odd. But look, they played 3 games this week, going 2-1. A win against the the Bakersfield Condors. We saw Sasha Shlevsky grab a goal and 2 assists in a 4-2 win. Then there was a wild one versus the Henderson Silver Knights that ended with a 7-5 win for the CUDA. You had goals, 2 from Chmelevsky. You had 1 from Latunov, and Jerk's boy, Yoel Shellman, got a 5-point night, including a hat trick. Also to score in this one, because it was Shark stuff all around, former Shark Danny O'Regan had 2 goals. But the CUDA unfortunately blew their wad and were shut out 4-0 in the final one. So right now the CUDA currently 15-12, 4-2, sitting 4th in the AHL's Pacific. Latunov now leading the team in points with 40, while Halbgewachs leads in goals with 19. Similar to the Sharks, the Barracuda have a handful left, 3 to be exact, and it's a repeat of last week. 1 versus Bakersfield, 2 versus Henderson. So there's your little Barracuda update. But Yoel,
the Barracuda are in Henderson to play the Silver Knights on May 8th and May 11th. If you're wondering if
Jerk's going to be,
I was going to say, if you're wondering if I might go to one of those games, we'll see.
Dude, he's going to be wearing it. We have to update his shirt because it's going to say Yoel.
I'm just, you know what? They're here. It might have to happen. I'm vaccinated, so we're in business.
And I just want to know. I want to know at what point, because we know it's going to happen at some point.
Okay.
Hockey Jerk is going to be hitting up Jess, going, let me take a look at that Uprising Yoel jersey.
Yes. We would be remiss if we didn't, Puck Guy, AJ, myself, we've been on the Uprising train since it was announced. Friend of the show, Jessica, has also been on that train, and she was the only one of the 4 of us to get
She pulled
one.
the whistle.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, okay, you're not going to bid. We'll watch this stimulus." And, she was all over it. So good for you, Jess.
Stimmy. Oh man! All right, we usually do a tweet of the week. There really wasn't anything that stood out this week, so we're going to bypass this. No reason to. No, we're not gonna false dichotomy this. We're not manufacturing the hype. Go ahead.
We did a lot of talking about a lot of different things in this show, and so you'll have to forgive me. Did we ever finish the segment who's hired, who's fired, or did we just talk about it?
I mean, we kind of just talked about it because we segued. Really, it turned into a whole thing of you screaming about Doug Wilson.
That is true. I forgot about that. That might have to be next week's show, or maybe.
We can do something, a little something where maybe we get together with a couple peeps and just say, look, if you're a betting man, like maybe even we put something like that together where it's just kind of like, okay, like you almost put together not a draft necessarily per se, but it's kind of like everybody submits who's on the Sharks roster next season, who isn't, whoever's closest. Wins the pot. Because there might be some people that it's like, oh, how is Balsers not going to be on this team next year? And then all of a sudden Balsers, gets dealt as part of a larger deal. It's like
I was going to say,
Balsers and Burns to some other team to, what I mean? Like is a sweetener.
Waiting for the outrage when I don't have Hurdle on my list of players that'll be here next year.
You shut your whore mouth.
If I didn't respect sound equipment, I would drop my microphone.
Oh boy! And there was one name that we did not mention tonight, and we still will not. Enjoy. If you want to find out what that name was, join us in the Discord following the show. So you can follow her at rbackhander76. You can follow him at hockey_jerk, and you can follow me at AJ_strong. If you have any questions or topics you would like to hear us get into, send them along on that Twitter machine at Tealtown USA. And remember, guys, if you ever miss a show and you want to catch it again or just catch it at a later time, doesn't matter. Find us on your favorite podcast platform. Again, throw us a review, give us a little subscribe. Remember, you can always find everything on YouTube and at tealtownusa.com. It's time for the famous last words, and we always start with Rocket Backhander.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me, Rocket Backhander, on tonight's Quiet Storm. I hope you enjoyed tonight's program.
Quiet? Did you hear, jerk?
Well, storm part anyway. Man, quit messing up my KCSM jazz vibes, damn it.
Okay.
No, so anyway, thank you for joining me on this week's installment of The Quiet Storm. Maybe next week we'll talk about something a little bit more friendly and uplifting. Here's hoping the Sharks have a good week. AJ?
Jerk?
So the Henderson Silver Knights, they play the Barracuda on May 8th and May 11th. The game on May 8th is at the T-Mobile Arena. So that is probably going to be more expensive than it would be if it was at the Orleans Arena, but for argument's sake, I'm pulling it up right now. Cheapest ticket for the May 8th game is $39, and it looks like Ticketmaster wants my phone number to figure out what the ticket cost is for the next game. I guess I will give it to them.
Sir?
Oh my God. Okay.
Are you
fuck
double
Ticketmaster.
vaccinated? Are you double vaccinated?
Dude, I've gotten 2 shots of all 3 vaccines, so I'm good to go.
God damn.
He's all, bitch, I've seen more shots than a, co-ed at spring break in Florida. Bring it on.
Dude, I know why you hate Ticketmaster so much. They keep asking me for all these codes just to see how much tickets cost.
Thank you.
So it looks like tickets at the Orleans Arena are not for sale. Okay, fuck you, Ticketmaster.
Way to get that money. Way to get that money.
$39. I may go. I have my Barracuda Noah Gregor jersey. We'll throw that on. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's my final thought for the week. Something I'm going to be thinking about all week.
Oh yeah. My final thought, of course, being that Joe Pavelski still leads the Dallas Stars in goals, in points. 21 goals, 44 points, a plus 20. Jerk, do you find him to be more has-been or more washed up?
I just think he sucks.
There you go.
Fair.
You know what? If he had any real gumption, he would already be at 30 goals.
Finn making a good goal at Hockey Jerk's seen more shots than our forwards.
Sure.
Not wrong. More shots than Timo Meier, certainly.
At least in terms of shots that matter.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
dude, he might be at the top of my list of Sharks that ain't gonna fucking be here next year.
I'm just saying, dude, shots from the blue line that hit to the top of the glass, that's not useful for anybody.
Unless you're playing the Ehrhoff game. But I digress.
Hey.
What's your favorite player?
Oh, you shut your whore mouth. Do us a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel, whatever podcast app you're using. You can find everything on tealtownusa.com. But look, hit us up. You know the spots. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. All those fun spots are where you can find us. Remember to check out After Dark, the post-game show following every single Sharks game. And those, you will know it because they feature the post-game quotes in the chat. I feel like I need, I don't know, more cookies for that. But I digress. Yay? Nay?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. That's all I was looking for. See, that's all I need sometimes. It's just we appreciate you, AJ, for all that you do instead of seeing in Reddit, your show sucks.
Hey, at least they're watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, Jake. I'm sorry. Thanks for watching, Slurpy John. What is it? Shake Shack Joe, whatever it is. But yeah, that's the show again. Thanks so much for watching or listening if you're tuned in using a podcast app. We will see you next week. And boy, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here, guys. Episode 132. And by that point, we're talking there will be one game left versus Vegas. Will it matter? No. Will after Monday, tomorrow night's game, will anything matter? No, probably won't.
Dude, it hasn't mattered since April 1st.
I hate that you're right.
I usually am.
He's right. Yeah.
But if I can end this on anything, I think we just need to hear Barabanov one more time.
We enjoy with my wife.
My wife.
My wife. We enjoy California very much, my wife. Jerk?
What?
My wife.